Hello, hello, and welcome to this video. Let me see if video is being recorded. Yep. Okay. So this is a re-upload of my first video on Python playlist. I saw that first five videos have very low audio, so I'm re-recording this video. And first two videos needed a bit of change because the Python version when I recorded these videos was 3.7 and now we have 3.14. I don't even have the slides of the original video. So let's see why should we learn Python? That is the first question. Why should we learn Python at all? So the first reason is that it is most popular language according to many surveys. Some surveys say JavaScript is most popular. But what is the advantage of being the most popular language? The main advantage is that you can get a lot of jobs. Uh, the disadvantage is that there will be competition because lots of people will be applying for that job. The another advantage is that Python has lots of libraries. Its ecosystem is probably comparable to NPM. The NPM and Python libraries compete as far as functionalities is concerned. And so, yeah, Python is a very popular language. Now, one would wonder that why Python is so popular. The most, uh, what I would say, the most rational reason for Python being popular is its in simplicity. Python is probably the simplest language out there. It is so simple that sometimes people say that it is like typing in English. So Python is a dead simple language as far as programming languages go. It is interpreted in nature. So the advantage of being interpreted is that the you don't have to wait for compilation. And the second advantage of interpreted languages is that writing plugins or extensions are very easy. Compiled languages have to go through lots of hoops to implement the plugin functionality. You go through either FFI or you go through some sort of IPC, or you can do the ages old DL open stuff. There are various ways to do, and in modern days, you can use WebAssembly to write plugins. So there are quite a few ways in which you can write plugins in compiled languages, but all of them kind of suck, literally. Okay. And Python is a dynamic language. That means you don't have to specify the types. As such, there is a typing module which allows you to give the types, and that is a hint to your editor and IDE, so you can benefit from type hinting, but it is not mandatory. It has no bearing on the syntax, or rather the runtime of the uh, Python program. In fact, the uh, Python interpreter just discard those type hints. It does not care. Now, what is the advantage of dynamic language is that your code is shorter. Okay. Now, the one of the things which goes in software industry is the more number of lines you have, the more chances of bugs. And Python is quite concise, so your code is quite small compared to compiled and statically typed languages. Although there is a downside also that at runtime you may have surprises with type errors. Now with all that in picture, what can we use Python for? So Python can be used for desktop, web, embedded, and AI development. So one field which Python does not touch in general is mobile programming. You can't make web application with Python. If you want to do mobile development, I think as of today, you can either go with React Native or Flutter, or if you need the speed, then you can go with the Java, Kotlin is most popular. And if you go even further down the line, then you can use the native APIs. And if you are on iOS, then you can use the language what is called Swift. Yeah. Now, what are the proofs that Python is good language? Some people say that Python does not scale. That is not true. YouTube, Instagram, Disqus, Quora, Google Search are all programmed in Python and they have scaled the application a lot. The notion that scalability has anything to do with programming language is not true. Scalability has to do with the architecture. Performance, yes, Python is one of the slowest languages, although work is being done after 3.10 and lots of performance improvements have been made and multi-threading is getting better and better and eventually the GIL will be removed. You will know GIL very soon. It's called Global Interpreter Lock and very soon the GIL will be removed from the Python interpreter and there is a big Shannon proposal which is being worked upon. So it's not that the language is stale, it is still being developed and will continue the development and very soon we will have quite a bit of performance improvement. So we can compete with other interpreted languages. Of course, it will never achieve the performance of something like C, C++, Rust. That is not going to happen. I doubt even it will even go closer to Java. Now, the two main AI libraries, TensorFlow and PyTorch, are programmed in Python. As such, the core functionality is written in C, C++, but a lot of Python is involved, and the functionality of those C, C++ libraries are exposed in Python. So, as a Python developer, when you make a call to those library function, it actually executes C, C++ code, and that's how you get a lot of speed. And all the GPU side of programming is done using something called CUDA, which is an NVIDIA library. So those are other details, but in general, TensorFlow and PyTorch you can use in Python. Now, one of the advantages of being very simple programming language is that if you are new to programming, then Python is a very solid choice for your first programming language. So if you have never done programming, you can start with Python. Why should you care about it? The reason is that if you try to learn something like, for example, C or Rust or C++, then you have to care about memory allocation, you have to care about a lot of syntactical stuff, and C, C++, Rust are considered hard languages and Python is the easiest available there. So top tier universities, lots of top tier universities use Python to teach as their first programming course because then you can focus on logic and less on the syntax and the language stuff. So once you learn Python, you can probably transition to something like C, C++, or Rust or Java. So other languages become much more approachable once you learn your first programming language. The first programming language is always your hardest stuff because at that time you have no clue what is programming. So Python alleviates a lot of learning curve problems related to programming. So MIT uses Python. I'm not sure Stanford or Berkeley use Python, but yeah, for sure MIT uses Python. Now, the second stuff which we are going to deal with is what are we going to learn? So, the playlist which is currently now running, I'm teaching Python 3 programming. Once Python 3 programming is done, that is, we are doing the standard library discussion in the current playlist. And once that standard library is done, I'll start with Flask. After Flask, I will teach Fast API, followed by Django, and that will be followed by Twisted Frameworks. Now, the prerequisite will be HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, and databases. I have two more playlists running on JavaScript and PostgreSQL, so you can watch those. For HTML5 and CSS3, I will recommend that you go to Mozilla Developer Network and learn HTML and CSS3 from there. Once we are done with the web development, I will teach you natural language processing using NLTK and spaCy. Then we will move on to image processing using OpenCV, followed by machine learning, deep learning using NumPy, SciPy, Pandas, TensorFlow, PyTorch. We will build our own small language model because it is, of course, simply not possible to develop a large language model because simply I don't have resources. Okay. Even if I could code, I don't have the hardware to develop a large language model, and it will cost so much that, uh, well, I don't have the money as well. All right. And at the end, I will teach you Arduino programming, how to do embedded programming in Arduino using the Python 3 programming. I don't have a camera. I will need a camera to show you my setup of how Arduino setup is done and all that. But that's far, far away. It will be a long while before we finish all this. Okay. Python 3 itself will take a lot of time. So now we have that out of picture. So the second question is, how do we install Python? So I do development on Linux, and this is Endeavour Linux. All Linux operating systems, for example, Fedora, OpenSUSE, Debian, Ubuntu, Arch Linux. I'm not sure about Arch Linux. Base install contains Python or not, but Endeavour OS definitely contains Python. Manjaro contains Python. So Python will be most probably installed on the system. So to check, you can type Python, and if this prompt comes, Python is there. The second way is some Linux, for example, Ubuntu might not have that as Python if you are an older Ubuntu. So you can try Python 3. That should also work. So you can see the version which I'm going to use is 3.14.3. In the next video, I will show you how to install Python on Windows because Windows does not come with Python. Now, the second question is what kind of editor or IDE should you use? So, the two most popular IDEs for Python are VS Code and Visual Studio. So, you can download VS Code from here. You can go to VS Code and you click download VS Code. And you have got Windows, Linux, and Mac all. You download and install. It's pretty straightforward. So some distributions, for example, Arch Linux have it in R. On Fedora and Debian or Ubuntu, you have to install the RPM or dev file. Note that if you install it, it will put the repository link in your package manager, and you will have the repository updated. For Windows, it's just plain exe, and Mac is it's a DMG or something like that. I don't even remember. So you can download VS Code. The second editor of choice is JetBrains PyCharm. So you can come to JetBrains and you go to products and you go to PyCharm and you can download it from here. So for Windows, Linux, Mac OS, everything is there. So for Linux, you can download the tar.bz. I have already downloaded it. So let me show you. So this is, you can do the extraction using -xzvf PyCharm, and it will extract. So I will just go to the folder. So I go here and we go to bin directory. If you have lots of RAM, you might want to edit this file, pycharm64.vm options. So it was initially 256. I gave it 512 MB RAM. This was 2 GB and I put it 4 GB. Once you do that, you can launch PyCharm. You will have to accept license and all, and PyCharm is here. If you want, you can make a symbolic link in your what you call user bin directory. For example, you can say that sudo ln-s. I have not made the symbolic link till now, so I'll make it. For example, pycharm / user bin pycharm. So it will make a symbolic link here. So if I see if my link is valid or not, user bin pycharm. So yeah, link is valid, otherwise it would have been read. Once you made, you can simply invoke PyCharm like this. Okay, and there you go. So PyCharm is quite popular. If you like a more modern or rather the latest kind of editor, let me close this. Oh, it's not closing. Okay, let me see. Oh, it is. stopped here, so I'll terminate this. If you want a modern editor, one of the possible editor is jed.dev. You can go here and you can download this from uh, jed.dev. It has macOS, Linux, and Windows. You simply copy paste this in your terminal and it will be installed. I have Jed installed, so you can use Jed editor as well for writing Python code. Jed is very fast, I think fastest of all three editors which I have shown you. You can make use of VI and Emacs if you are familiar with those, but they have a somewhat steeper learning curve. And if you're new to Linux, then you might not know how to use VI or Emacs. And it's a bit difficult to set up the uh, language servers. So one of the recommended editors on console I will tell you is NeoVim. NeoVim is a very good editor. One of the reasons why I prefer with Neo compared to VI is that it is faster than VI, NeoVim, and second is that the plugins are written using Lua rather than VimScript, and Lua is a proper language compared to VimScript. So I think that should be enough for the introduction video. As I said, I will record the first 5 videos, so 4 more videos I'll record. In the next video, I'll show you how to install Python. Now, one more thing you want to do is you may want to install virtual environment. So in your package manager, you say, for example, in this, you say virtual env. It is endeavor. So you want to install Python virtual env. And if you are on Ubuntu or Debian, you can say apt-get install Python 3 virtual env, okay? Or on if you are on Fedora, then you can say DNF install Python 3 virtual env. On OpenSUSE, you can say Jaipur, and your virtual environment will be installed. You may also want to install pip, okay? So, for example, I have pip installed. I believe pip. Okay, pip is not installed. So I'll just install pip and I'll show you something very important. So you say install Python 3 pip. It should be Python pip for me, and pip will be installed. And once pip is installed, you install something called UV. UV is the latest package manager. So I'll just say UV. Let me see if it is correct one. Yeah, SS UV. So the advantage of UV is that it is very fast package manager, and you will be able to install packages at lightning speed. Now don't worry about UV and pip right now, or virtual environment is something you should get, and you need pip for that. Don't worry about pip or UV at this point, because while we are going through the language, we are not going to install anything. Python itself should be enough. So in the next video, I will show you how to install Python on Windows. So I hope that you enjoyed this video with the better audio, and welcome to the world of Python programming. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, enjoy.